Hello and welcome to another chapter of our gatherer's journey. In this episode, I want to run a small test out in the blue zones. Normal Skinner knife versus Avalonian Skinner knife. The goal is to figure out which one is more profitable while skinning low-tier hides. I've noticed that repairing the Avalonian knife costs significantly more than the regular one, so I'd like to see which tool is actually the better choice. Helping us out in this little experiment is our new friend, the Elite Wild Boar. I've also prepared two separate slots in my chest box so we can compare the results at the end. We're going back to a familiar spot near Lyndhurst to gather Tier 2 and Tier 3 hides. We won't be gathering Tier 4 hides since the results there are too random and could affect the accuracy of our test. Besides, T4 hide prices aren't that impressive anyway. We'll be gathering with the same gear and at the same time of day to make the conditions as similar as possible. We'll start with the regular knife, then move on to the Avalonian one, and finish with a short comparison. We're skipping the best moments to keep the video short, as there probably won't be anything interesting. All right, I'm starting to gather now. See you in a bit. The first 1.5 hour session with the regular knife is done. We're going back to town now, and soon we'll go out again for another 90 minutes of gathering with the same knife. All right, time for the second 1.5 hour session using the regular skinning knife. Let's go. Okay, time to return to town. We've just finished the gathering session with the regular knife. That's 3 full hours complete. Soon we'll move on to the next phase, this time with the Avalonian knife. Prepared and ready. Time to go. This time I'm taking the Avalonian knife with me. Starting the gathering. See you after a while. All right, that's almost 1.5 hours of gathering with the Avalonian knife done. Almost because we had to return 5 minutes early, we simply couldn't carry anymore. It turns out this knife is really efficient, but also quite expensive. The repair cost? You'll find out shortly. Stay tuned, we're about to start round 2. We're almost done with our test now. The session lasted almost 1.5 hours again. We had to come back a few minutes early once more. A quick teleport to town. There we will compare what we gathered and make a summary. We will see which knife is better. First, let's check the journal profits. Normal knife, 47 pieces, total value 184,000. Avalonian knife, 51 pieces, worth 200,000. Now let's take a look at the Tier 2 hide, priced around 70 silver per piece. Normal knife, 10,795 hides, total value of 755,000 silver. Avalonian knife, 11,570 hides with a total value of 810,000 silver. Next up, Tier 3 hide, going for around 85 silver each. Normal knife, 14,246 hides, worth about 1,210,000 silver. Avalonian knife, 15,393 hides, with a total value of 1,308,000 silver. We also got one Adept's Tome of Insight during the gathering, but we won't include it in the final numbers. All right, let's break down the profit before we move on to expenses and the final summary. The normal knife brought in 2,149,000 silver. The Avalonian knife made 2,318,000 silver. That means the Avalonian one gave us more resources worth 169,000 silver in total. But let's not forget about the costs. As I mentioned earlier, repairing the Avalonian knife is much more expensive. So let's take a look at the numbers. Food costs the same in both runs, 20,000 silver. Journals were pretty close. Normal knife, 35,000. Avalonian knife, 38,000. Teleports. Normal knife, 22,000. Avalonian knife, 29,000. Now things get more interesting. Repair costs, normal knife, 36,000 silver. Avalonian knife, 168,000 silver. That's a huge difference compared to the regular knife. So let's sum up the total expenses. Normal knife, 113,000 silver. Avalonian knife, 255,000 silver. That means we spent 142,000 silver more when using the Avalonian knife. All right, let's calculate the final profit. Normal knife plus 2,036,000 silver. Avalonian knife plus 2,063,000 silver. That's just 27,000 silver more with the Avalonian knife. Not a huge difference, especially considering that the Avalonian session was 10 minutes shorter. So what happens if we break it down per hour? Normal knife, about 678,000 silver per hour. Avalonian knife, about 728,000 silver per hour. So, what's the verdict? The Avalonian knife gave us more silver per hour, about 50,000 extra. But when we look at total profit, it was only 27,000 more than the normal knife. Not much, especially considering we had to pay way more for repairs. If you're mostly gathering low-tier hides, like in our test, the extra cost of the Avalonian knife doesn't really pay off. You do get materials faster, but the silver difference is small. Of course, when using the Avalonian knife, we get more resources that can be used for crafting. It's also worth noting that if we sold those materials at better prices, the profit would be even higher. I think the Avalonian knife is worth it, even when gathering low-tier hide. I'm curious, what do you think? Have you used Avalonian tools? Did they work out for you, or not really? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Albion content. See you in the next one.